Hello and welcome to another episode of the Take a Poll podcast. After a slight break, Top 5 is back for the 2 days at Galway, Saturday and Sunday. Deck was off enjoying himself, getting a bit of sun. Doesn't look like he got too much sun though. How are you?
I look a lot darker than you.
Yeah, well, that's not hard. That's not hard.
Yeah, good morning. It's an early morning start. It's not happening to see us drinking coffee, is it?
No, coffee and tea.
Yeah.
Very good. So all set after your little rendezvous.
Nice break, yeah. Badly needed. So nice and refreshed. Got a couple of winners while we were away though.
Sitting on the lounger tipping winners at where was it? Clonmel, was it? I think.
Where was it last week? I can't remember. Somewhere over the week.
It was all the way back to last week. A pretty packed show though, Deck. We have a good few races covering Saturday and Sunday of Galway, and with some top horses making their chasing debut with a bit of luck as well. And obviously some selections, pretty full fields too. Ground looking soft to heavy in places, I believe, as we record on Saturday morning. So we should have a pretty, we have that updated for you. This looks like an informative weekend. I think the likes of the Devil's Coachman made his chasing debut here last season, I think. I think it was this weekend.
Yeah.
So always a weekend very much worth following. So without further ado, we may as well jump in. Actually, we have quite a few races to cover, and we're covering a 3-year-old hurdle to start with on the Saturday, 157. I know you love these. These are the proper races. Obviously, we've horses in here with likes of Camacho and like Elzam, and like if there's a few like last roll of the dice is probably a Wings of Eagles in here as well. 3-year-old is interesting. Callison is going to be your favorite deck. Now he's a son and big son of No Risk at All, who was beaten at odds on, was quite weak in the market of Cork on his debut. He looked to me like very much a stayer in the making though. Maybe one that's going to need a few runs or maybe even an extended trip, even though he is only a 3-year-old. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, like same thoughts on that horse. I wouldn't be rushing him. I don't think we'll see the best of him for a few years. And surprised he's running over jumps a tree, to be honest. Because he does look like he'll mature later on. I've no massive interest here. Like I'd be maybe keeping an eye on Oz Parterre. He was an all-weather winner in France. And Van Diemen was rated 80 on the flat. Like if he jumps, as I said before, if they absolutely love jumping, they can improve past horses that are rated 100 on the flat. They don't always like it. So sometimes you can hold a bit of hope for them, but no massive opinion on it. It's a race for watching, and it mightn't even be that enjoyable to watch.
Exactly. Yeah. It's usually a bit of a lucky dip at this time of year. Yeah. Expelliarmus was the one that was most interesting to me, but he looks like he's going to need good ground. He's kind of struggled in heavy ground lately, most lately at Gowan. Decent enough debut though at Ballinrobe, and Sons of Churchill have tended to go well over sticks. So it is just worth noting. I think Comfort Zone and the Milton Harris horse. They really fancied him for the Triumph, and I don't think did he even get there in the end. Horse and the Scriptwriter. Scriptwriter. So there's a couple of nice horses that Churchill sired last year that went juvenile hurdling. He'll probably have a few more this year as well. But Expelliarmus would be the one I'd keep an eye on, but I wouldn't be backing him. He's probably again one for when the ground gets a bit better. Very much a race to watch. Callison obviously very, very interesting, but he's definitely not mature enough at the minute, and anything that he's winning or doing now is probably just on raw ability. And we've seen already at Cork that there's chinks in his armour, so probably best to maybe something for the top tracker later in the season.
I suppose they're going to be an eye on if they're not off. But I think Kozlak Shack is the one we're waiting to see again, isn't it?
With a bit of luck. Yeah. All right, we'll move on, Deck, to the Connolly's Red Mills EBF Auction Maiden Hurdle. This is at 2:32. A tap tracker horse actually in here, 33 to 1-shot Michaela's Choice, but I did put him down for Limerick at Christmas time. So it would be just kind of part of the plan here, just to give him a nice quiet run, a little bit more experience. That maiden has been working out weirdly well though, because we did put 2 horses into that tracker, or well, I did anyway. Redstone winning that maiden for Gavin Cromwell. Our Uncle Jack actually followed up in a maiden hurdle the next day, or not the
you weren't expecting that.
Yeah, 10 days later, 17-2, he popped in a Tramore, did it very well, very well. Michaela's Choice hopefully is going to be one of our horses to pay for Christmas at Limerick time. Right, pay for Christmas at Limerick, not at Limerick time. Yeah, Jack, anything here that kind of took your eye? I know Ollie Lababa is probably going to be favourite, but you wouldn't necessarily say that he's bomb-proof.
No, I've no opinion on this race at all, but it's one I will watch a couple of times. I do like this series, and I think a lot of decent horses come out of it, so it'll be one I'll definitely I'll be keeping an eye on. I'll watch this race a couple of times and see if I can find that, and it might be one to discuss the next time we're on, or as the horses start to pop up again.
Yeah. Ollie Lababa did put a lot together behind a nice horse of John Murphy's at Cork. Form wasn't really up to much until then, so you're kind of you're basically taking that form on trust. 11-10 is awfully short, but he's really only, like, anything that has form in the race is going to be short of what he showed at Cork. So you're basically just you're taking a look at your Release the Beast, who's up at the top, the Lucky Lobster. They're both completely unraced. Saffron and Blue as well for Pat Doyle down the bottom. Quite nicely bred gelding by Humes then, actually. So if you were going to have a play, maybe the 3 debutants, like, they're not like completely friendless in the market at the minute. 2 of them are slightly double figure prices, and then the Paul Nolan horse, Release the Beast, 11-4. I wouldn't be getting involved with horses that inexperienced at that price, but if you were going to have a play for play spot purposes or something, maybe the unraced horses, they probably wouldn't have to be as good as you think to win a maiden hurdle.
You'd wonder, did the Owen McCarthy horse show a bit too much by accident the last day, because we're normally looking for his in the 0-95s, and to see him so short here and run so well the last day, it's usually not by design, is it?
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, he was 22-1. He wasn't like, there was, like, looking at the commentary, it did look like there was a little bit of money at late for him. So maybe they do like him, but he's a hard one to kind of pass off at 11-10, I think. So no, probably just best watch for me. The debutants, if you were looking for play spot purposes, maybe the angle in here, because they probably wouldn't have to be as good as you think. Right, Deck, we'll move swiftly on to the Corrib Oil Maiden Hurdle. It's just a Corrib Oil. Yeah, Corrib Oil Maiden Hurdle over 2 miles. This is a much better looking race, but Portafill is your odds on favourite at around 2-1 on today. He is making a second start over hurdles. He looked kind of outpaced behind Antrim Coast, but did stay on really, really well. So coming back to 2 miles is probably a bit of a question mark, I would have thought. But what do you think?
On Portafill, probably didn't stay as well as he needed to the last day, I thought. It's obviously, he's obviously highly thought of. His 5th in the bumper at Aintree. I haven't actually watched that back, but maybe he didn't quite stay the 2 miles there. I didn't think he stayed well enough the last day. You would be expecting him to win. Like, looking through the field, I don't know. Barry Connell's horse, like, he's been given a bit of time now, and he's back in maiden hurdles. The one that might be a danger is probably Waterford Whispers.
Yeah, he's a big eye catcher at Ferryhouse.
Yeah, it does look to have ability on that that maiden hurdle that he said that was the race was won by Golf Marine. How hard is he going to be trying? That's the thing. Just I don't really know. There's nothing jumping out really I think that is going to want to challenge him even. I think he might be an easy enough race.
He'll just go and win.
Just go and win, and nothing trying to get too close unless it's Waterford Whispers. I see Parma has one in here.
Another one.
Derby winner. We might start to see more and more of his. Now, look, I think Waterford Whispers could be a horse to put it up to Port Lafay, because I'm not sure that bumper is going to work out overly well, but it's whether anything wants to try and beat him today. He might just, as you said, go and win.
Yeah, no, that it does. It looks like a penalty kick for him. I thought he might have. I know he said he didn't stay. I just thought he maybe just didn't have the ability as Antrim Coast, and the last day maybe a bit of an unfair label to put on him at this early in his career. Yeah, Waterford Whispers definitely what he showed at Fairyhouse has plenty of talent. It's just whether it's going to be shown here.
Yeah.
Look, if you see the money in the market, if I saw like the market speaking in his favour, I probably would back him against the favourite. But
what sort of price
taking a chance? He's sitting at 11-2 thereabouts right now. So if I saw him come in a point, you would have to take note. But
yeah,
it should be Port of Phil's to lose.
It'll be interesting to see how the market moves with Port of Phil, like whether there's a big drift on him. That'll probably tell you.
Yeah, there was.
Maybe you're right. Maybe he doesn't have the ability, because I do think there's question marks over that bumper now.
Yeah, no, 100%, absolutely agree. Right, on to the next race deck. So this is the one I'm looking forward to the most all weekend. The Sandsverve. I've never heard of Sandsverve. Anyway, Sandsverve rated novice chase over 2 miles.
The Lewis.
Is that not Transdev?
Oh, Transdev.
Close. The Transdev rated novice chase. We'll give them a plug. All right, so this is 2 miles, 2 furlongs. 9 runners going to post, and it sees the chasing debut of Spillans Tower, who's in here at around 6-4 to win. Mark Welch going to ride. Decent enough field, but a lot of these have had kind of chances already. You've got Hands of Gold also for the JP team. A good herder last year, winning 2 races. I think they're both a nice battle it out as well. Clifton Warrior brings a decent little bit of form to the table, already rated 126. Harter Doc as well is going to be making his chasing debut here. Probably one for a little bit longer down the line, but he could be a very nice horse going chasing too. And Snake Oil, who is now rising 9, hasn't been the easiest to train. He made a satisfactory chasing debut here behind Barnaculla, who we'll probably talk about a little bit later on. That was last year. So, Deck, let's come to you first. What do you like here in this rating novice chase? You know where I'm going, so
yeah, I know you're going, and I probably going to follow you in. Like I trust what you're saying about this horse, and you've been saying it a long way out. Like, I know you've been a massive fan, and it's probably a good bit of placing, because look, it's you don't see it an awful lot straight into a rated novice chase, rather than a beginner's chase. But he was rated 126 over hurdles, so you probably won't find the beginners that you can get 130 or less. So they've gone for the novice chase instead. So you have to be rated 130 or less over fences or hurdles to run here. Look, I suppose he failed first time in a handicap, so we didn't really get to see what he could do. I think that was off 100.
Yeah, this is Spillans Tower for reference. But yeah, he was okay. Yeah, so he was off 126, I believe, behind Lyser. And he unseated at the first. It was just a freak.
I think he was off 116 that day, and he never raced off 126 because he was second in a novice hurdle.
All right, okay.
He won a maiden. He beat Franciscan Rock, which I think he's a good yardstick. We've spoken about him before.
Yeah.
He ran in the novice hurdle. I think, now correct me if I'm wrong. You're probably looking up there.
He was actually off 126. He was definitely off 126.
But that was level.
I thought he was off.
It wasn't a handicap.
It was off levels. Yeah.
So he finished up on 126. We never got to see him run off 126. But look, you've been talking about him for a long time. I trust you. He's going to develop into a lovely chaser. Like, they've gone chasing at 5. It's good to see. He hasn't many miles on the clock at all. I do think it's a tricky enough race. Clifton Warrior, he was a hurdle winner off 125. So look,
he
you
has
know
been,
his ability over hurdles. He has been second in 2 beginners' chases, though. He's had a go. You have 2 other McManus horses in here, Hands of Gold. He'd won 2 auction novice hurdles. The races we keep talking about to have an eye on, the last maiden we covered. He's probably not going to be too near the front today, but he's definitely one I'll be keeping an eye on for going forward. And Battle It Out was a maiden winner in March. Could make a lovely chaser. He's only a 5-year-old as well, but I don't think, you know, if Spillane Tower is off today, they're not going to want to be trying to beat him.
Anywhere near.
The biggest danger is probably going to be, or you think would be, the big chap, but he does have to carry a penalty because he beat my mate Mozzie 2 lengths at Fairy House.
Yeah.
He's won a handicap hurdle at Sligo off 116. He's going to be a much better chaser.
Probably already is he?
Yeah, he definitely already is. Like, you know, you see how easy my mate Mozzie won yesterday. Now look, they were clear. I think they were clear enough at Fairy House that day. I think when they named him, they thought he was going to be a much better chaser anyway, you know. Who knows how good he could be. And he has chasing experience, which could stand to him today. But look, I've no doubt you're right. Spillane Tower will be the best that he is going forward. It's just whether he does it today or not.
He can do it straight up, yeah.
Oh, and I think the other 2 McManus horses, Battle It Out and Hands of Gold, definitely keep an eye on them and watch for them when they go into handicaps. I'll be watching them out the back today to see who's jumping the best.
Yeah. No, that's a fair enough assessment. Look, Spillane Tower has always been a horse that, even since he was behind Priory Dancer, if you ever want to see, I don't know how Philip Enright kind of got away with that one. Even in the comments said tenderly handled and nearest finish, but they were absolutely fine. That probably kind of forced their hands because he was only beaten ahead by Imagine on his next start at Galway at Wexford. And that was like really, really, you know, brilliant for only his second start in his life. Then, as you said, Deck goes and beats Franciscan Rock, who I think he won straight up after that race at Naas and improved, and I think was 3rd in Grade 1 company then at the Punchestown Festival. Freak accident behind Lyser, Cork. You just have to put a X through that, and then over an insufficient 2 miles, pulled well clear with Monbeg Park in a good novice hurdle at Punchestown, well clear to likes of Uncle Phil and Arctic Brazil. So it was just I think he was just not as battle hardened as Monbeg Park that day, with longer trips at the suit in the future, which he's getting here. This is my number 1 horse to follow this season, though. So I'm very, very excited to see him, how he gets on. I think he'll jump well, and he's just a very, very exciting horse. He's one that I think could take to the very, very, very highest level. And if I think that, he should probably be winning here. He could well be. He absolutely could well be. He's doing everything on raw ability. He hasn't filled out yet. He's already managed to achieve a mark of 130 without really even. He probably hasn't even had the opportunity to achieve a whole lot more, given the races that he's ran in and the trips that he hasn't got to try yet. So I think anything is possible for this horse. You did mention that he is only 5, so I'd be expecting improvement this season, and then it's next season when you really see it. But that's not to say he won't win races this season.
Does he go to the Drinmore if he wins this?
Does he go to the Drinmore if he wins this? I don't think so. I think they'll probably, given the way he's campaigned over hurdles, I think they'll give him an easier option. But I would love to see him in the Drinmore. But I think that they could definitely take in a graded chase. And that's not to say they mightn't try Limerick at Christmas time. But I think the Drinmore might come a little bit quick for him. So that's Spillane Tower for me. Very, very excited to see him. And with a bit of luck, he goes and wins and has us all excited for the season going forward. And you're gonna just agree, or you're gonna?
Yeah, I'll agree in Spillane Tower. You were expecting them to be odds on, so you know, I'd love to know what you're putting on him today.
Hiding behind the couch. That's what I'll be doing. Yeah. Actually, I'll be on the bloody walk, watching it on my phone, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So the WP Gavin and Co handicap hurdle. The return again of Buddy One, who seems to run at Galway quite a bit. Off top weight, but well fancied to go close here. This is a decent little race actually, though, for the purse. Gabby's Cross in here, Cade Boy, who hasn't really progressed maybe as the way we thought he might. San Tanito as well, decent enough novice last season. And yeah, a couple of form horses in here that we haven't seen in a while. Alpish, Amin, and Crabat made a decent return. Yeah, no, Deck. This is probably one of the better handicaps. It's a tough handicap, but do you have it in here that you might fancy?
Yeah, look, you could nearly talk about them all. I'm not going to bore everyone and run up the time by going through them all, but like there's 4 of them there that I like. Santanito, he was a maiden winner, beating Ivan at Clonmel. He was previously second to Hidden Valley Lake. It's 2 runs in, the 2 runs in conditions hurdles were poor enough. He finished last in both, but this is handicap debut. This could be more his thing. And when you see horses dropping into a handicap, even if they haven't ran, they're not graded races, but they can be still tougher. Those not. So this could be more his thing. He's very interesting. First time in a handicap. Shadow Rider. I don't really know what to say about him, but obviously the horse has ability. He also beat Ivan in a maiden hurdle. That was back in December 2020. He was quite ambitiously campaigned over hurdles. He ran in the grade 1, the one that the Menil won, I think, at Leopardstown. And he was third in the grade 3. He was a beginner's chase winner, and then he was pulled up in 3 chases, including the Drinmore. They've come back over hurdles now.
New yard as well.
Yeah, probably has a few issues. He could have a few issues in the head, but he's obviously quite talented. Looking at the races they've ran him in, so you don't know what to expect from him today, but he is chancy. Alpesh, I think I've got that right. Maiden winner, then a hurdle winner over 2 mile 5, off 111. He's up 5 pounds. I'm just a little bit worried the extra furlong might stretch him, especially in a race this competitive. But look, he's definitely won with another one in him, and only gone up that 5 pound. Look, maybe the next day. Just a little bit worried about that extra furlong today, stretching him in this type of competition. But the one I'll probably side with is the Raider. It's not awfully often we're discussing Raider.
This is the interesting one.
Yeah, Christian Williams is sent over Lord Snooty. Now, his last run was at Punchestown. So I don't know whether the connections are Irish or maybe Christian Williams. Look, we've seen Christian Williams in Britain play some really well, pick up some valuable handicaps. I do think the handicapper in Britain is quite lenient on some of his horses, and there's no questions about when they run poorly and they fly down the handicap, get to a mark lower than they won the race off last year and they go in again. But look, if he's gone, fair play to him for doing it. He's not going to be questioned. Go ahead with it. He's in here off 120. He was a winner off 112 at Warwick, and then he was second at Utoxer off 121. He was ahead of the likes of Collector's Item and Stellar Magic. I think the 2 of them are decent enough horses. He was 5th at Punchestown on his last run off this mark. But this, I know we're saying this is competitive, but those handicaps at Punchestown are very, very competitive. Like, they're ultra competitive. So, he might go. He might get go a bit closer today. And it's just interesting to see, particularly coming over in October. I know we see raiders at the spring festivals. Nichols and Henderson have sent horses to Fairyhouse and Punchestown. We've seen some raiders come over to Leopardstown in February, but this is kind of new and it's worth taking note of. So I'd be expecting a big run today. Yeah,
no, that is. It's very interesting. The one I quite liked was Cade Boy, but I'm just not sure kind of his status. I just always thought that maybe 2 miles was not really his bag. He just was weakening quite quickly, and sometimes that can show maybe a wind issue. But I think he was just getting taken off his feet. and this is going to be his first time, I believe, at 2 miles 5, and I think it'd just be it'd be a much nicer introduction to race, or not an introduction, but it's going to be a nice kind of new lease of life for him. I'm just kind of wondering now how he will settle. Well, Aidan Kelly's a brilliant £5 claimer, and 12-1 I think is a big price. So I'm going to keep a very, very close eye on Cade Boy. I wouldn't even be surprised if they try to pretend to qualify with him maybe at Christmas time at Leopardstown or something. I know that's all the way up to 3 miles, but look, if they're not going chasing with him, and they're not going to run over 2 miles, they're going to have to try something new with him. And look, he struggled chasing, so he probably is going to be a better hurdler. So let's just see how he does over longer trips. I think it's about time that they've tried it, and they're finally trying it. So I'm going to keep a close eye on him at 12-1 here today. And Deck, you're Lord Snooty, are you?
Lord Snooty, but like I wouldn't be surprised to see big runs from the other three. Although I'm just a little bit worried about Al Peshameen, just the trip stretching them. Maybe the next day, in a less competitive race, coming back again.
Yeah, and it takes some getting. Well, the hurdle course not as much. The chase course, it's a long run in, so but it does take a lot more getting than you might think Galway.
It's a very stiff track. That climb is. I don't know if you've ever been to Galway, but that.
Never been to Galway, no.
No, and it starts down the dip around the bend, and you're climbing and climbing and climbing, and it's going to be testing today. So, it definitely does take a lot of getting. Yeah,
absolutely. So on to the Colm Quinn, who seems to sponsor every bloody race at Galway. The Colm Quinn BMW handicap hurdle. This is your bag, that 80 to 95, 3 miles. This looks fiercely competitive. I think it's 15-2 the field, is it? Jenny Mac. It 6-1 the field. Port of Wine, what a great name. Is your 6-1 favourite at the minute. Who do you fancy here?
Look, again, there's. I know it's you're saying it's more my bag, but it's
putting you under pressure.
It's a competitive card today, and there's, normally you're looking through and there's, there might be 2 standing out to you. Like there's more than that in this, Jack's Fancy is one we spoke about before. He's in it off 86. He was up to 2 miles 6 for his handicap debut, and then went to 3 miles next time out, finishing third. He's probably a little bit unlucky that day. He just lost ground on the bend at the stall, which can happen. He might be ridden a little bit handier today, and if he is, if you see them circling and he's closer to the front, he could be the bet. Shotgun Jack off 85. He's had 3 maiden runs and 1 handicap run all over 2 miles. Now up to 3 miles. He's obviously standing out. The jockey did report he made a noise one of the days. There's no tongue tie. I'd be waiting to see what the market says about him before I get stuck in. I know he's ticking a lot of the boxes, but the runs weren't as obvious as you'd like to see either, and I'd be worried about that noise he made, especially on heavy ground today. Look, there's probably 2 I'll back for myself today. And one of them is Jericho the Bond, which was one of our first top tracker horses, and in 95. We spoke about him the last day. I think we put him up at 66-1. He 3 maiden runs over 2 miles. He had a couple of handicap runs, but I think he had a couple of issues jumping, and then he was brought down. He was keeping on very, very strongly at the stall the last day, and he was brought down. It's down as an unsee, but I'd be saying he was brought down. I think it's very unfair on the jockey to say it was an unsee. He'd have gone very, very close if he didn't get there, because the penny had dropped and he was just staying. Left on the same mark. He's if I liked him the last day, I'd have to like him again here. But also like Mermaid's Cave off 94. Was making a move in handicap debut at punches down when hampered and stopped up to 3 miles here. I was finding it hard to split them, so I'll probably touch me bets.
Packed them both. Yeah, Mermaid's Cave was quite an eye catcher. I thought she'd be actually slightly more fancied. Only a 4-year-old filly, so they're both only 4-year-olds. It's rare you do see 4-year-olds make their impression over 3 miles, but Jericho de Bam he proved he had the ability to do it, as you said before, essentially being brought down. And yeah, Mermaid's Cave, very much basically brought to a standstill as well. So look, she was beaten a long way, but it was not really too much fault of her own. 3 miles, obviously going to question her, but you would have thought that if they were starting her over 2 miles 6 very early in her career, she shouldn't really have too many issues with it.
And she was moving, like, she was moving when she got stopped that time. And like, as I said, like, they're the two I go for here. I wouldn't be surprised to see any of the four of them go in, but like, I'm not putting up 4 horses, like some people on Twitter do in the one race. So,
fair
enough.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll take them as well. They're the two I quite like myself. So, onto the flat race deck. Another BMW, Colin Quinn, but he's sponsoring the bumper this time. I know that we're not usually ones that that cover bumpers too in depth, really. Butcher Hollow is looks like it's going to be your favourite. Son of Kingston Hill, Ledger winner. Thomas Cooper training. I wonder if he's for sale. Point winner as well. So quite interesting now that this lad is like, he actually he sold for 200k and has ended up in the Cooper yard. So it is very interesting that owners have given Thomas Cooper potentially quite a nice horse here. Do you have any thoughts on the bumper?
I don't. I'd have more thoughts on the bumper on Sunday, to be honest. I had a look through it, and it's very open. We don't know an awful lot about them. I'm not going to take guesses at it. So,
fair enough.
The Cooper horse is definitely one, to keep an eye on, and like, he probably just goes and wins it. Who's the jockey?
D. Allen, £7 claimer. I don't know a whole lot about him now, to be brutally honest with you. He's had a little bit of experience though. 10 wins and 118 rides. So,
I did look through it, but nothing. I couldn't form an opinion on it, to be honest. Though I'm not going to guess. Definitely worth watching. See,
my mate Mozzie, the other Mozzie in here, is a relation. So it'd be interesting to see how he rolls. I think he's a half brother. I don't think he's a full. I don't think my mate Mozzie is by Vadamos. So it would make him a half. Yeah, quite an interesting race. I actually think that could be a race to kind of keep a close eye on. It's one of the better looking bumpers that we've covered in our 5 top episodes, I think, on paper, but that might not be the case. As you said, Deck, was you want to talk about the Sunday one, which will probably conclude the show. Right, well, let's move on to Sunday, and I'll just move the ticker. We have got the purchase by 3 p.m. today to win a BMW.ie. I wonder who's sponsoring this one. That maiden hurdle. It's probably Colin Quinn trying to give away a BMW this time. It's a mare's maiden hurdle, so these are ones that I'd usually happily take a very, very close eye on. Smaller field than usual, only 10 going to post. Doesn't look the strongest. A lot of these have had plenty of chances in bumpers, which is unsurprising. The mares tend to spend a little bit more time in bumpers. It can be a little bit more value for them when they go to stud. Armed and Fabulous making the change to Willie Mullins, but she was a little bit disappointing, you could say. But she is dropping. She is getting another chance now. After being okay in a bumper, she runs here. She'll probably be quite well fancied given connections. Miss Augusta as well, who had a bit of a reputation after finishing second to Absolute Notions at Punchestown in the I think it was the Land Rover, wasn't it? The sales bumper. Yeah. She's kind of failed to live up to that. Running in decent enough bumpers again. Her run behind Tiger Bay Queen of Fairy House, probably the pick of the bunch. I would say that's tentatively probably the best form we have here, I would say. What do you think, Deck?
I'm not sold on Miss Augusta. I thought she was going to make a lovely horse after that second in the Land Rover, but I don't think it worked out. Absolute Notions was one I was very, very fond of last year. Now maybe look, they're going to improve with age, but I just don't feel the race was as strong as we thought at the time.
Okay.
Me Lucky Colleen won the 4-year-old fillies bumper on this card last year. She was a surprise winner. She was massive odds. Look, she was a fair bit off Miss Augusta after that, but she is highly thought of. I do know someone connected to the owners. I think she could run a big race. She was 7th on her hurdle debut. I think she's going to improve again. Another one I like is Not Keeping You Going. She won a bumper here last year. She improved the second time off a hurdle. She could improve again. I'm kind of between the two of them.
Okay.
I think it's quite open. We've no betting for it yet, do we?
No, we won't have any betting as we go on to Sunday now. No. I'm still going to stick with Miss Augusta. Just, I think that a set of hurdles might put her right. And I do trust that she showed me enough, I think, in decent bumpers to suggest that she'd have the ability of winning a race like this. But no, I do take your point. Me Lucky Colleen could be one. She strikes me as one that could open up at a decent price, but be well found in the market. Basically, just going on exactly what you've said. Obviously, winning a bumper at this track last season at 66-1, I believe. So, 100%. She's definitely one to keep an eye on. But it's when these mares get into handicaps is when you want to kind of attack. Because as I said, there's going to be a time. It is coming as well. I know I haven't really utilised it just yet, but it is definitely the second half of the season where you see it more. So, just keep watching them. I promise you, it will be profitable in the long term. So on to the 116 deck, and I'd say this is a race you're very much looking forward to. Again, the beginners, and it's a beginner's chase, not a rate novice chase this time. It's over 2 miles 6. It's going to mark the hurdling debut of the Albert Bartlett and Irish Daily Mirror novice hurdle runner-up off Affidale Fury. Personally, I'm a little bit surprised he's going chasing. He's not the biggest. I thought they might have had another season over hurdles, but I'm not going to all the power to them. I'm not criticising it and just said I was a little bit surprised. Daily Present as well, Dak, another one of your favourites, who I'm sure you're going to chat about. He missed all of last season, assuming through injury, but did look like a very, very nice hurdler before, assuming he picked up that injury on his last start. I believe it was at Punchestown. And another one of your favourites, Dak, Francescan Rock, who we talked about earlier in the show.
And there's another one in there as well.
Oh, really? There's when the form is tying in with Spallan's Tower. Where's the other one? I've nearly. Oh, Jesus, Favre de Champ. Yeah, okay. So I think you backed him for the Albert Bartlett last year. And look, he's the opposite of Affidale Fury. It's probably a belated chase debut for him. Obviously, hadn't been too easy to train as a younger horse. Only 7, but Jesus, this is competitive. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I'm also a big fan of Meeting of the Waters, who's trained with Eugene O'Sullivan. He was bought by Patrick Mullins, and suddenly he was going off favourite for the beginner's chase, which I was like, what? Like if he was still with Eugene, he wouldn't have been going off favourite. I just couldn't understand it. He was beaten, but I'd be watching him when he goes into handicaps later on. Quite a consistent horse. Really, really like him, but at a certain level. Look, I suppose Affidale Fury is the obvious place to start, isn't it? Like if you ignore the Nace run, the Lawlers, he's been excellent. I think he'd have won the day at Navan when he came down at the last. I don't think it was a tired fall, and he would. I think he was definitely going to win that race. And we know he has stamina because they went a serious gallop in the Albert Bartlett. They went a stupid gallop. For 40 these Championship couldn't keep up with them. Horses pulling up all over the place. It was absolutely ridiculous. And he was staying at the end. And then he ran a big race again to finish second behind Gaelic Warrior. Look, I know you think he's not the biggest, but you
don't need to be the biggest. I'm aware of that.
No, you don't. If you're athletic, and I do think this horse is. I think it's really, really likeable. And he won here last year. He might have won on this card last year. I really, really like him. But Daily Present, I'm carrying him over from last year. He was one of my horses to follow. I get to carry him over like a day's holiday.
How do you get a non-runner in the horses to follow?
Yeah.
That's it. Only you can do that.
He was a point-to-point winner, and he was a Fairly House maiden winner before getting the better of Braun and Navan. If you're tough enough to get the better of Braun on the run in, you've got a bit about you. He was pulled up at Punchestown in the Grade 1, the one by the nice guy, in April 22, and he's been off since. He's a 6-year-old. I really, really liked him as a novice hurdler. I probably backed him that day when he was pulled up. A little bit disappointing. I'm not even sure whether
He
there
could
was
have
an
done his
issue
injury there.
Yeah, led, I met Paul Nolan at Killarney during the summer in July, and I said to him, Paul, do you still have that horse? I couldn't think of the name of him. And he said, Daily Present. I said, yeah. And he was like, yeah, he's grand. He'll be back. And I was getting excited. And I said, it reminds me of latest exhibition. And he just said, no.
No.
But, yeah. But look, trainers have been wrong before. Look, obviously,
No.
He just said no. Look, obviously, latest exhibition was a big horse for that yard, and unfortunately, had to be put to sleep. And they used. I think this horse could be as good as him. I think he's, I hope he retains his potential, because I think he was a lovely novice hurdler. He was one of those who wasn't the best novice hurdler, but he was. I felt he was going to improve massively when he went over fences. So you're hoping he retains his potential, and you just want to see him. He doesn't need to win this. He just needs to run a good race, jump well, because he's been off for a long time. Vivardi di Chanteau 8 now. I'm going a bit cold on him. He's a good bit to find with Affordale Fury on his last 2 runs, but I am. I'm kind of forgiving him the run in the Albert Bartlett as well, because he was getting pushed along to go to gallop. I don't know what they were trying to do. Like, it was an absolutely mental gallop. And fair play to the winner, Stay Away Vegas. He was up there the whole way. He must have some engine to stay up there the whole way and win that race. But I'd be worried, has that race left a mark on any horse who was up there and finished it, because it was an attritional race. Franciscan Rock, he fell in his chasing debut, but he wasn't beat. He's 6 lengths to fine with Affordale Fury on the run at in Punchestown. I think he could still make a lovely chaser, and I think he's got to improve massively. It's a hard one to really.
It is a tough one.
Now, I'm watching all them. I'm hoping Daily Present runs a nice race, and I'll be watching Meeting of the Waters for future races as well. But this is, I don't think it's open and closed Affordale Fury. Whoever jumps the best and is fit enough is going to win this race. They're not necessarily going to be the best horse come at the end of the season, but that whoever jumps the best, and this is going to be a joy to watch really this early in the season. And you'd love to see them all jumping well, wouldn't you? And taking jumping fences together. I don't want to select one right now, because I don't know who's going to jump the best, and I think that's what it's going to come down to. And you can't guess who's going to jump the fences the best, but this race will tell you a lot about where each of them are going. Hopefully they all jump well, so they're all lovely horses.
Yeah, with a bit of luck they will. I'm going to side with the one that's had experience, even though he didn't complete. I like Franciscan Rock. You're right. I don't think he was really beat when he came down, and he was just improving all of last season as a 6-year-old. As I said, after getting beat by Spillane Tower, he went on to win his maiden hurdle at Thurles, and then didn't do a whole lot wrong really, and accumulated to a good third in the Irish Mirror Novices hurdle behind Affordale Fury, but 6 lengths behind him. I'd be pretty confident that maybe if he strips fitter for a run, that should be a hell of a lot closer. And yeah, it was just an unfortunate fall at Gower. I would side with Franciscan Rock to win today. I'm not saying that he's the one to be with all season, but I think Franciscan Rock, Sunday, not today, sorry. I think he's the one to be with on Sunday. And I think the market will have him slightly more disrespected than the others. So I think he'll be the value play. So it'll be Franciscan Rock for me, and then it's TBD for you, is it?
Yeah, look, I couldn't put you off any of those four. It's whoever. I think it's simple as whoever's going to jump the best wins this. There's not an awful lot between them. As the season goes on, they'll probably pull away from each other. But tomorrow, it's just going to be who jumps the best, and I'm not brave enough to pick one without seeing them. But maybe you're right. Francis well has the jumping experience. But look, I mostly want to see Daily Present run a nice race.
Enjoy himself.
Enjoy himself and show that he retains his potential. And nice. I think he could be a horse to follow if he does this season. Very one good. That probably hasn't been talked about really, because everyone seems to be mentioning Affordale Fury, but there's more than him out there. And I love Affordale Fury.
You do love Affordale Fury, yeah. 150 to 1 the Bartlett. I remember you nearly probably had a heart attack. When he
especially when you backed him at 14s just before he fell at Navan before Christmas.
Anyway, 14 to 1 anti-post slip, and he's second at 150 to 1. As an all-timer. Anyway, the Marlin Hotel Dublin supporting the National Breast Cancer Research Institute handicap chase. Colin Quinn couldn't get his hands on this one, unfortunately. It's the 151, 2 miles 6 over the fences. So this is only 7 runners. You usually kind of get bigger fields, but obviously the Dabbler, who's quite a consistent type, I would have just wondered now, he's had the ability to go well fresh in the past, like behind the likes of Maxim after a break, and obviously Maxim was very, very well handicapped at the time, and that was a handicap hurdle. Usually does his bit of mixing between hurdles and chases. He's definitely a much better chaser than he is a hurdler, and I thought it was a decent enough run behind Toss again, and he's just down in class. That's why I kind of like him here, down in class, and has the ability to go okay fresh. I think he's going to be a big enough price. That's just a quick selection for Maydek. Anything you like here for this?
Yeah, if I have a bet, it'll probably be Brampton Bell, but it's tough, tricky. I don't think there's an awful lot between them all, and you don't necessarily have to have a bet in every race.
No,
but look, she would be my selection. She's rated 123. She is top weight. She's third in the Grade B handicap chase. Yeah, off this mark at Navan last February. She disappointed a month later at the same level then and at the same track. She's been off since then, since March. This isn't as competitive. They'd be big fields. You said there's only 7 runners here, and she is a listed winner over hurdles. So, I would be siding with her, but it's a trappy little race, I think.
Yeah, I do think it is actually interesting as well. Natural Luck, who ran a good race behind Law Ella, who we put up earlier, I think, at Thurles. She's making, I think this is probably her handicap debut, is it? Over fences, I believe it is. She has had a good bit of experience, 4 chase starts, but this is going to be her first time into this sort of company. Probably one to keep an eye on. 114, the handicapper just left her on 114. Really, she's that over hurdles, and it's you'd be pretty comfortable calling her that over hurdles as well. She's had 14 starts, winning twice. Just interesting to see if she can improve for a handicap chase, but I don't think her form screams improve her over fences as much as it maybe should.
I do agree. I had a good look at her, but I just find it hard to make a strong case for her.
Yeah. Form. There might be others in that race that you just keep an eye on from that mare's chase at Thurles. All right, we'll just moving swiftly on. It's the Dabbler for me for the record. I think he could run well at a nice price. Right, so deck the 226, the Glenman Corporation handicap chase. Again, sticking to the 2 mile 6. A lesser level here, but our old friend up the top of the weights, Takarengo, who has form with absolutely everything. Where are you going? Where are you going here?
Yeah, there's 2 I liked. Haskar Clerman. He was second off 112 over hurdles. He's in here off 106. He's yet to win over fences, but he was challenging the last day when he unseated at the last. I think he put up the winner. Hardwired was at Punchestown. Qualified riders race. Am I right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put up Solomon Lane. He was third.
I put
Solomon Lane
Solomon
was third.
Lane.
Yeah. Good old
I was
Solomon
trying to
Lane.
give you a winner there.
No, I'm honest. I'm honest.
Yeah,
We had
look,
a good enough day that day anyway.
we did, yeah. Look, he'd have to have a chance looking at that run the last day, and he was good enough to finish second in a handicap of 112 over hurdles. But I'd probably go with his component. Yes, he's in off 105. He was fifth to Quilixios last week, and he's turned out quickly for his handicap debut here. He was a two-time hurdle winner, winning off 109, and he peaked at 116 in Ireland. Probably, I think he had a couple of runs in Britain, might have ran off 150 or something. You wouldn't know what the handicap around there. something ridiculous. But on that, you'd have to say he's another one who's well in. Over fences of 105. I think he's a great chance here.
Okay, I know you did just mention Hascourt Claremont, and he hasn't won over fences yet, but it is worth noting that they went very quick in that amateur riders race, and he was still pitching over the last. Now he was probably beat when he unseated, but I know you kind of mentioned it with Stay Away Faye, how he managed to just grind out and win the Albert Bartlett. This lad at obviously a much lower level. That pace faded away. Hardwired came from, I believe, like mid division, and Solomon Lane came from dead last. So I think it was actually, you could probably mark up that run from Hascourt Claremont. Obviously, the main man at the minute, Keith Donoghue, taking over, who was brilliant at Cheltenham yesterday with 2 winners. And he actually gave Railway Hurricane a very nice ride. It was second too. Obviously not a very straightforward horse. I'm going to take a chance on him solely because the way the race played out last time out wouldn't have gone to his strengths. They just went very hard, and he was still pitching. Now, obviously, 18 days ago, could leave a mark. But I'm going to take a chance. So I'm happy to go with him. Deck your T's components, yes.
Yeah. But I do I think the danger is Hascourt Claremont.
Right, well, I'll be on the danger. Very good. So 3:01, and we are moving on again swiftly to the Anne Walsh Memorial Novice Hurdle. And this is an 8 runners going to post. It's again really competitive. There's probably no stars in here, but definitely a few nice horses. Mint Boy, maiden hurdle winner at Gowran, literally just getting up in the depths of the line, 2.5 miles on heavy. So he's sticking to the 2.5 miles here, but at Galway you'd feel like that might suit him a little bit more. Any more rain that falls is a plus. Free flowing as well. Norman Lee, Tom Harney taking off a good 7 there as well. Won at this meeting last time, I'm pretty sure. But does have to carry the 11:10 as a result, as do most of these. So it's not really at the end of the world. Deck, where are you looking here? That this is a neat little race, but probably no stars, but definitely ones you could take from it.
Yeah, hard one to gauge. There's 2 I like it. I got the danger first. Stuzzikini. Is that how you say it? Stuzzikini.
Let me have a quick look here. I think you're probably okay with that one. Stuzzikini, yeah, Stuzzikini will say, yeah.
Yeah. Has a rating 126. Bumped into Getaway Charlie the last day. Getaway Charlie was well handicapped. And before that, it's been behind Smart Hurdler, Lucid Dreams. That was at Killarney. Look, it's a hard one to work out this race, but I do think he has a chance. At least we know what he's rated.
Yeah.
But I'd probably go with Sequestered. Sequestered going to stay on, mate. See what?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I didn't think you were going to go that way, but no, fair enough. Keep on.
Yeah, won a Sligo Maiden before, chasing home High Class Hero at Listowel. High Class Hero absolutely bolted up at Limerick the last day. Very impressive, and he's only a 5-year-old. So I think there could be more to come from Sequestered. The
Gilligan's local track, I'm pretty sure, for them as well. And very underrated outfit as well for what they have. They tend to do very well. They're a good yard. I quite like. I'm going to stick with Uncle Gav and Mint Boy. I thought that was a good performance last time. Look, only getting up in the sheds line, he's going to be a stayer, isn't he? Like 100%. But him and I think Zaidi who admittedly was very, very disappointing at Sligo. But they did pull a good way clear, and I say that's why you're leaving Mint Boy. I can understand that.
It was decidedly fun because we spoke about him on one of the earlier pods.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely fine. I do think Mint Boy's a nice horse though, and I don't think he has to. I'm just not sure he needs to improve to be competitive. Now, if that's it, it could depend if he's odds on or something, or he's very, very short. Obviously, I'll abandon him. But no, Sequested is very interesting. I didn't actually look at the form in that kind of sense, so I will keep a close eye on him. It's probably not a race I'll get overly involved in, but it's a race obviously you can always refer back to, which is the most important thing if you're not having a bet. All right, Deck, we're nearly there, so we'll move on to the 3:36, and this is the Glenlow Abbey Hotel and Estate Maiden Hurdle, over 2 miles 5. So it's kind of a newer trip for Galway. I don't think we've covered a race over 2 miles 5 yet. So it's usually either 2 miles 6 or 2 miles 2 or all sorts. But anyway, so again, small field for a maiden hurdle. Search for Glory is coming in here with his mark of 132. Do you think, assuming he has the ability to run to that, because it's hard to kind of justify that he has. I know that Aintree race behind Apple Away, he weakened quite quickly, but I just, the thing with the 3 mile novices, I probably should have said this round after Dale Fury, I wasn't absolutely sold on them. It was a division I had a very, very strong opinion on last year. Obviously, I was big on 3-card Bragg, and he let me down. It's completely wrong whiff there. Fair enough. Yeah, he absolutely laughed at me. But I was more interested in horses that were coming from 2 miles to 2.5 miles, and then stepping up to 3 miles, either be it over hurdles as open hurdlers or even chasing, which is why I've kind of like pinpointed like the Spillans Tower and all here. So my question is, Deck, what, like, Search for Glory, who is rated 132, would you think he's a well handicapped 132, or do you think he just has the ability to run to 132 and probably just win this race? I don't think there's too much in here that could get run to a rate like that at the minute.
Yeah, and the fact that who wants to run to close to that?
Yeah, exactly.
Mark, that's the thing. I think that's why it's a small field. And I think he just goes and wins. He's just going to be left and win. Like, I'm not surprised he faded quickly in the Sefton novices hurdle at Aintree, because he was pulled up on that Albert Bartlett we spoke about, and was sure to be still feeling it. He bumped into some nice ones in his maidens. I think he's going to be long odds on here, and he just goes and wins because the fact he has that rating. Now, that rating's probably come from Britain.
Yeah, it probably has. Now, he was, in fairness, he ran behind Monty Star and Hidden Valley Lake. That's probably his best run at Clonmel.
Yeah.
Now, Hidden Valley Lake was giving him £6. Monty Star off levels. I think he was a length off Hidden Valley Lake getting the £6. So that's where the 130, like, that's pretty much Hidden Valley Lake, I think, is a 139 horse. So that's where it's a pretty quick conclusion that you're getting your 132 from there. I'm just not 100% sure that those horses, even Hidden Valley Lake, who had quite a reputation, I'm still not even convinced he's a 139 horse.
No,
so,
I'm not sold on him either. But I look, he has his mark, and this is the problem here. Who wants to get close to him?
Yeah,
who wants to finish second? You know. Now, the Irish handicap are sensible enough, like, you know.
Yeah.
He'd nearly tell you, just don't get too close to him, you know. Don't fuck up your mark.
Don't make me open my book.
Yeah, exactly. You know. So I think he just goes and wins, and you're looking for what jumps well out the back, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
If there is any, I don't know what level these are going to be. To be honest.
No, I think we could have probably the shortest favourite of the week in here, possibly. Right. Well, moving on to the 410. I know this is a race you have a decent opinion on here, Deck. So the race in pink handicap hurdle, obviously charity themed race day at Galway. So yeah, this is a decent old handicap hurdle, 2 miles. And there's a few very nice horses in here. Obviously, I'm going to let you talk about Barnaculla in a sec, Deck. Obviously, we're going to start there, but there are some very nice horses like Timroyd, who's had a really, really nice season on the flat. look, I'm surprised that maybe they didn't give him a break, but I know he was, struggling kind of towards the last couple of runs made on the flat and over jumps, but he is a horse that I think will come right quite soon. Maybe pick up a race in the winter. But this again, very very competitive. Ladybank, I would imagine, given her unexposed profile, could be somewhere near the top of this market. Obviously, winning a beat or dead heat with Princess Zoe, and then running in I think she ran it in the Dawn Run at Cheltenham, and then she ran in a mare's listed at Punchestown. So she could very much improve. Canal End as well. Very, very, very unexposed profile. But Jack, you probably want to talk about Barney Culla here. So take it away.
Yeah, look, he's right 136 over fences. He was a novice chase winner here last year at big odds. I think it was 25 to 1. He's been highly tried. I think he ran in a grade 1 over 3 miles last Christmas, and then he ran a stormer to be second at the Leopardstown at the Dublin Racing Festival behind Final Orders.
Yeah, back over 2, yeah.
Yeah, there was talk of him going to Cheltenham then to run in the plate, but he underperformed at Naas, and I look, it's taken a while to get him back. He's actually a lovely jumper, but his jumping got a bit sticky after that. I think he was just thinking about it. But look, he's gone back on the flat. He's won on the flat. He probably should have won the day before he won on the flat. He's bumped into Fighting Fit twice over fences, who's got the better of him.
Yeah.
He ran a lovely race again on the Sunday at the Galway Festival here. One of those, that was today. He bumped into Fighting Fit. He's rated 119 over hurdles. Like they're obviously going to look to exploit that mark. He can win on the flat. He was a nice hurdler. I think he ran in graded novice hurdle races.
He did.
So look, you've got to be having a look at him. He looks to be well in over hurdles, and I don't know where do you go with him. He's a horse who could run in high class handicaps. He has an entry in the Paddy Power, so I don't know whether they're going to go there with him after this. It's interesting they're coming back over hurdles to give him a spin, and he can try win here because it's not going to affect his mark. So especially now that he'll have his mark in Britain with the entry.
It's incredible. He's only a 6-year-old with the amount that he's done, and
he's a lovely big horse. Like he's a handsome horse. He's really nice to look at.
So was Octavango, in fairness, his dad. Beautiful looking horse.
So it is like I only looked at it during the summer, and it's like, really shocked that he was still only 6, like for everything he's done. But look, he is a nice jumper. He was a good hurdler. He can win on the flat. So he's the obvious one here. But it's not an easy race. Like Canal End, he won a maiden hurdler Easter. It's starting to work out. He's only a 5-year-old. He could take advantage of this mark. 123. Ladybank, she won a maiden over 2 mile 4, beating Princess Zoe, and there's a few more winners have come out of that race as well. She was well held at Cheltenham at Punchestown, but this is her handicap debut, and she's going to be a bit stronger again after a break over the summer. So, she's a danger. And then Mike Gaffer, you can probably forgive Mike Gaffer to run the last day. It was a handicap debut at the stall, and it was in a listed handicap. B Littlefoot in an auction race before that. Been dropped £5. He's another one who's a danger. I think it's very, very competitive, but looking at the entry that Barney Culla got during the week, and they've come here off a much lower mark, I'd say he's definitely going to be giving it a right go.
Yeah, and of course he clearly enjoys as well, which you obviously mentioned.
It could be a lovely bit of placing.
Yeah, no, it is. It absolutely is, and he's going to take a lot of beating. But yeah, no, a lot of unexposed profiles. This is definitely. I know we said this about 100 times, but this is definitely a race that you could easily get behind. Like you could have horses there 25 to 1 that they're only that price because of how competitive it actually is. If you had a normal race in this grade, chances are they'd be half the price the next day, just because look, it's actually kind of hard to assemble a field like this. It's really, really, it's deep for its level. And yeah, no, it's definitely one of the races to of the weekend. That's not going to stop me from backing Barnacoa though. Horse obviously in very good heart throughout the summer, and as you said, he's off a reduced mark of 119 over hurdles, but it's not because he's a better chaser. Well, he probably is a better chaser, but he's been able to exploit what he's been doing over fences, with I believe without going back over hurdles. So there's every chance that the horse just naturally improved, and he could very easily just take a big step forward over hurdles again.
Yeah, so I think he's a bit of a tinker,
right?
And I think he might have knocked his confidence a little bit over fences. But when that returns, which it will, there could be plenty of room off that 136.
Yeah, you could have a lot of fun with him.
Yeah, like I even watching them the last day at Galway, I was down there, and I just thought he had a think at a couple, and then he won when he started to jump really well. He was very, very unlucky not to win that day. But I think when the confidence is fully back, he's a lovely horse. He's going to improve again.
Absolutely. Right, Deck. Well, we'll conclude here with the front door 4-year-old fillies Pro-Am flat race. This is a race that you said you might want to talk a little bit about, but again, there's not much to go on. 18 runners nonetheless as well, all 4-year-olds. This is a minefield. Do you have any opinion there?
Yeah, there's some I think we've more to go on this than we do on the bumper on Saturday.
Right.
Colin Danu was one we mentioned as one to watch. She ran the race that Hypotenuse won at Gowran Park. Now when we said she was one to watch, we were expecting her to. She was up and trip the next day at Ferryhouse, and we thought that she might show her hand too much and she might come home a bit too well. She finished second, but she came home. She came home very well, but she was handy enough now. She's plenty of experience. She's had 2 hurdle runs now, and she's had a few bumper runs. And I think it was a Shark Hannon horse she chased home that day. Miss Oreo, I think is the name of the horse.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
With our profile there coming in, 2 hurdle runs, especially that one in second, coming back into a bumper, I think they fancy taking this. Field of Thistles finished 4th in the Ferryhouse Sales bumper, which was won by Brighter Days Ahead.
Yeah.
I can't think who was second. Tommy's Call was 3rd. A horse I'm looking forward to seeing. Like that bumper could turn out to be a really nice bumper. It was at Easter. Rachel's Secret was half a length second on her Rules debut, which was over hurdles, dropping back into a bumper. I know, Andy, you love to see this.
Yeah, that was she's going to be my selection, basically for that reason. The only difference, Colleen Danu has probably had a lot of chances. That's the only reason. I wouldn't put anyone off her too.
Royal Cave is. I thought, the penny was starting to drop a hurdle night. They probably one to just keep an eye on. And then an owner called Sean O'Reilly has a horse called Walking the Shadow in here. I actually follow all his horses. I have done for a long, long time. He had a horse called Shadow Ella. Shadow Ella. And he's had Don Shadow, who won at the point. Shadow Ella actually won a Grade 2 mares race, maybe the one that Annie Power won at one time, at the Ferryhouse Easter Festival. She was a lovely, lovely horse. He's had Jack Hackett, obviously. He kept him. No, he usually only keeps the mares. Don Shadow won at the Punchestown Festival. And now he has. I think they're all out of the same mare. Korsky.
They are. I just looked it up there, Jack. I know you said Jack Hackett. You know who's his half brother?
Oh, we mentioned it recently.
Yeah, and we had a debate on the podcast about a flanking manoeuvre.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. There we go.
A Walk in the Shadow. Look, she's by Walk in the Park, so
who isn't?
Who isn't? Yeah. Sean's actually he's a lovely man. I've met him at the race course, and he said hello to me. I didn't know him from Adam. I just was searching one day to see where Shadow Ella was, where she was gone, and he answered me question, and then he recognised me one day and called me over. So we had a good chat. Where I like to see his horses do well, and he gets, he keeps the mares, and they're usually good, honest mares. So I'll be keeping an eye on her. But I think Colleen Danu, with her experience in that run over hurdles the last day, I've gone aside before to win this.
Very good. Yeah, I'll be sticking with Rachel's Secret. Very similar reason. Obviously dropping back. They do. There is a. I don't know if it's more a mental aspect to it, but when they go over hurdles and then back on the flat, they do improve greatly. It's well worth something that's following. And it'd be great to see Mr. O'Reilly actually have hopefully another good mare walk in the shadow. It's very, very obvious that the dam Cork or Korsky shadow, she's it is, yeah. So she's clearly she's already produced Flanking Maneuver, Jack Hackett, Holographic, Don Shadow, etc. So she won a bumper herself. So she's clearly a very good broodmare. And now she's got a bit of walk in the park to go on here. So every chance now that could be a very nice mare for Sean O'Reilly. So yeah, definitely want to keep an eye on. I'm going to, as I said, Rachel's Secret for me. And that would bring us to the end deck of Tap 5, Galway. So just before we jump off, or is there anything that you wanted to add there?
No.
Best bets deck. Have you anything like, I'm not sure if you want to mention any other cards. I don't think we'd really have any other cards. I don't know if there's anything on Monday or Tuesday.
There's a flat card at Galway on Monday, but I haven't looked at it yet. I've only gone over the 2 days at Galway. I think they're two lovely cards. To be honest, people getting excited about Cheltenham yesterday. These are better cards. These are much better cards. These handicap worlds we've looked at, the likes of the one on Sunday with Barnacully in a very, very competitive. The one tomorrow as well, which like you've Shadow Ella. Oh, not Shadow Ella.
Hope not. What age is she now? About 20.
Spillane Tower obviously making his chasing debut. You have that beginner's chase on Sunday. You have the handicap. They're really it's a really, really competitive 2 days racing. Obviously, my best bets. I'm gonna Dutch Jericho the Bond and Mermaid's Cave today in the 452. The handicap chase 226 on Sunday. It is Sunday, isn't it? Tease component, yes. Obviously, Barnacully, I'm quite keen on. Look, I suppose I mentioned Lord Snooty as well. Any of my selections, I'm hoping go in, but Jericho the Bomb, Mermaid's Cave, Tease component, yes, and Barnacully, I suppose would be my best bet out of them all.
Very good. Well, I'll be you'll know how I feel after Spillane's Tower runs on Saturday. So he's I thought 352 is he? I think 342. So Spillane's Tower, everything crossed for him. I can't wait to see him over a fence. Hopefully he jumps like Arkle. With a bit of luck. I'm very, very excited. And as I said, they're just the ones I mentioned there too. I am quite excited to see Cade Boy up and trip. Whether he's a betting proposition, I will have a little bit on him because I'd hate to see him go and win, not have betting on him. And deck, obviously, you Jericho the Bomb and Mermaid's Cove. I kind of like the idea of touching them in the 452 on Saturday as well. So I'm going to be.
Actually, we'll do it in reverse podcast as well.
Oh, absolutely. Better do it this time, yeah. So that sounds good. But just in the meantime, just keep sharing, subscribing. I'm very much enjoying this. We'll be back for Tap 6, I'm sure, later in the week. There's plenty going on. So it's not Down Royal next week, is it?
Down Royal's next weekend. Yeah.
It is next week, is it? Okay, I'm losing run on myself. But yeah, it's always on with Santa Anita, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It usually is. So okay, so
we'll probably be back Friday morning.
Probably for Down Royal. Yeah,
Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's always a really, really informative card, and that's for a lot of Irish people. That's where the national hunt season starts. But I think it started already, personally.
Yeah, there's been plenty. Looking at some of the horses we've seen, and we're going to see this weekend, it's definitely starting to hot up now.
First grade one though, so there's that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, just don't forget to keep sharing, subscribing. Take a Poll Pod. Very much appreciate all your support, and until next time, guys. For episode 6, this was Take a Poll Podcast. Thank you.